How do I pay myself from my LLC? I'm looking to start my own business and I need to figure out, can an LLC owner pay herself and himself? Well, in this video, we're going to cover exactly how this works and give you a few breakdowns of what an LLC really is and the variations of LLCs and how to pay yourself and do it the right way. All right, so a limited liability corporation, an LLC, is a hybrid business structure that combines the best aspects of both corporations and a sole proprietorships. All types of LLCs, like corporations, give limited protection against personal liability. That's one of the huge benefits of LLCs. Profits and losses from your firm are generally reported on your personal income tax return rather than a business tax return, and there's no annual meetings are necessary. Can a single member LLC pay himself a salary? Now, although state regulations differ, LLC owners are generally referred to as members. Your company can have any amount of members that you like. Now, the thing to keep in mind is the following are examples of different types of LLCs. LLCs with only one member. There is only one person in this group. For tax purposes, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, treats single member LLCs as sole proprietorships unless otherwise requested. Now, the other one is the multi-member limited liability corporations. There are multiple members in this group unless otherwise requested. The IRS recognizes these as partnerships for tax purposes. Now, really quick disclaimer, I am definitely not an accountant. I am an entrepreneur for over 12 years. I actually started my own LLC and we transitioned that into an S Corp. So these are some of the bits of information and things I've learned over the past 12 years. So definitely do your own due diligence and check into more information if needed. And there's a lot of great resources, by the way, guys, down below this video in the descriptions to even also help you create an LLC absolutely free. So double check those resources and learn more about that there. So let's dive right back into this. So corporate limited liability companies, these are LLCs. These limited liability companies choose to be taxed like corporations. You must submit a formal request to the IRS in order to register a corporate LLC, okay? Now, a single member LLC is a business structure that can be used instead of a sole proprietorship. Now, let's dive into the really good things here about how we can actually pay myself as an LLC. You don't have to do anything but work for yourself if you choose to be a sole proprietorship. To become one, there are no fees or rules to follow, though there are requirements if you decide to hire employees. Because you and your company are recognized as an entity, as one specific entity, your personal assets are are at danger if your company falls into financial difficulties. Now, how does a self-employed person pay themselves? What is the best way for me to pay myself from my LLC? You may be asking. All right. Should I pay myself a salary from my LLC? You don't get paid actually a salary or compensation as the owner of a single member LLC. Instead, you pay yourself as needed by taking money from the LLC's profits, okay? An owner's draw is what this is called. So there's actually a term that's called an owner's draw, and that is the process. Simply issue a check to yourself or transfer funds from your LLC's bank account to your personal bank account. It's basically as simple as that, okay? But keep that in mind. That is what it's known as, an owner's draw, so you can actually pay yourself from the profits. Keep that in mind too. As the sole member of a single member LLC, how am I taxed? Okay, so can you make an LLC and pay yourself? Yes. Single member LLCs are treated as sole proprietorships by default by the IRS. Now, which means specifically your LLC will be considered a disregarded entity. As a result, rather than paying income tax, the LLC gains and losses are passed on to you. In other words, the LLC does not require a separate federal tax return. You'll record all of your LLC income on your personal federal tax returns as a single owner, okay? However, your state may have tax filing requirements for LLCs. That's on the state level, that's different. So make sure to check the rules in your state. You can elect to have your LLC taxed as a corporation if you prefer to do that also. You would be deemed an employee if you do this, okay? So if it's taxed that way, you will be technically an employee of your own business, and you may excuse me, guys, you may be compelled to pay yourself through a payroll. You might also form a single member limited liability corporation, now, which is an LLC with only one owner if you want that extra security. So keep that in mind. You receive the letters LLC, by the way, in your business name, and this actually still protects your personal assets and restricts your liability against lawsuits and creditors, okay? Now, there is a catch, however. LLCs must be registered with your state. And basically, they're also subject to governing regulations and may be required to pay an annual registration fee. Those are fees that are basically paid to the state. So that is a breakdown on how simple it is actually to pay yourself as an LLC. And if you create the structure that way. Now again, don't take this everything for perfect granted and in stones. Double check with your accountant on what's the best way for you. If you're starting a business from home, there's some benefits. If you're creating a commercial business and you're a commercial entity that's outside the home, there's other benefits as well. So check with your accountant to find out specifically what works best for you in your tax situation, okay? So if you have any questions on basically what we covered on how to pay yourself as an LLC, definitely let us know down in the comments. We'll be happy to create some new content for you. So to answer your questions, thank you guys for asking about that. Can a single member LLC pay himself a salary? Most certainly, but you definitely want to be aware of how to do it, and how does a self-employed person pay themselves. These are some simple ways to create a business and get it up and running. All right, and I'll see you guys on our next video. Thank you.